South Africa's agricultural sector has had a positive year in 2021 on the back of bumper harvest and a record export market. The industry is on course to surpass the 2018 record of 167 billion rand worth of exports. Just last year, 160 billion rand worth of South African produce found its way onto supermarket shelves around the world. Now, employment in the sector has also increased by about 3% year on year, with 829,000 employed within the sector. For reaction, let's bring in Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development Minister Thoko Didiza, who joins us now via our video link. And Minister, it's great to see you on the 23rd of December, a moment when many people are winding down. But I suppose part of the reason for this is there's a good story to tell about what's happening within the agricultural sector. Help us break down what some of the contributing factors to this actually are.
Well, thank you very much, Ayanda. And I must say that it's quite an interesting year. It has been full of challenges, but also successes, as we have seen in the agricultural sector. You are asking what are the contributing factors that have made agriculture to end on a high note. I would say it's a combination of factors. It's the weather, of course, which has enabled us to actually have bumper season on field crops and horticulture in particular, but also it has been the policy environment that has actually enabled those who are producers to be able to produce with clear understanding of what are the opportunities for their markets and export, as we have as government ensured that we work with our private sector, the farmers, the agribusiness industries, but also within government to create better opportunities for our farmers and our agribusinesses. We have been able in the past year to finally sign agreements with Philippines, which have ensured that our products, particularly citrus, land in that country in the eastern part of the world. We've also improved our market access with China to include lemons. And actually on the 13th of December, I signed an agreement with China which will see South African pears in the Chinese market. So there's been a lot of positives that have made this sector to succeed and also be able to contribute towards job creation.
Absolutely. You know, Minister, in economics, we usually speak about the trickle-down effect. That speaks to this idea that any kind of wealth accumulation and success at the top should benefit those at grassroots levels. I imagine a lot of people are wondering at which stage can we expect this positive note to translate in perhaps more affordable food prices even within our borders.
Yes, we would like to see food prices becoming affordable for our citizens, but I must say that one of the things in the past year that actually created this good climate as well for our producers was the decision government took. Albeit the pandemic, agriculture was allowed as one of those sectors to continue to operate. That enabled farmers to harvest on time. It also made sure that we do not miss our agricultural calendar. So for the winter season, we continue to plant, so as the summer season. But at the same time, we made sure that our markets are serviced both in the region but also internationally. So opening up the export line for credits during that intense lockdown was very good for our farmers. And one must thank government actually for its insight and resolute decision-making to make sure that our citizens also do not go to bed hungry. You would see, even in the July unrest, that we were able to make sure that we do not miss our commitments in terms of trade, working together with Transnet, as well as the Ministry of Public Enterprises and DTI. We made sure that the Durban port, the Western Cape port, was able to absorb whatever had been harvested, particularly in the citrus season, to go to the destined markets.
Yeah, you speak about seasons and have touched already on the impact that this is likely to have on our employment numbers in the country. I mean, we know in agriculture, you know, the sector itself works on a seasonal basis. And I can't help but wonder, you know, what that would mean for seasonal employment in our country. In other words, the jobs being created, are they able to last throughout the year, or do you reckon they'll only come up in certain spaces according to when, for instance, the harvest is available?
Well, it's important, Ayanda, for me to clarify, because I think most of the time when people look at agricultural labor, particularly workers in the agricultural industry, the bulk of them, yes, you will find in primary agriculture as farm workers in the fields. You'll also find some of those as seasonal workers during the peak season, during the planting season, depending on the commodity that is planted. But agricultural workers are in the entirety of the value chain. You'll find those in the agribusiness industry, in the factories. You'll find those agricultural workers in the scientific fields in agricultural research, where they are actually the bedrock of enabling us with innovation. You'll find them in the agricultural finance space, in the financial institutions. You'll find them in the market space as agricultural marketers or agro-logistics and transport, or even agricultural marketing. I'm raising this because most of the time, when we look at agricultural labor, the concentration is always on production. But even in production, depending on how the various farmers are planting, some of them are mixed use. So the farm workers that you have actually will go on the whole year. They would move from one commodity to the other depending on the variety that the farm, particularly those who are in mixed-use farming, are actually undertaking. Others, obviously, there will be dips and ups depending on the season.
Yeah. I'm interested, Minister, also in this new deal that we've been able to sign with China to sell pears, essentially, to that country. From a lot of people from the outside, it might seem, I guess, quite random, but, you know, we're expecting a lot of call it revenue from this. It's expected to contribute positively to our agricultural story. Does this mean that we always had an abundance of pears in this country? And if the answer to that is no, who is going to lose out on these pears that are now going to China?
Well, I would say in all the commodities, you talk oranges, we are never short of oranges in South Africa, despite the fact that we actually sell them externally. The importance of agricultural trade, it offers farmers and agricultural businesses an opportunity to increase their production, both for the domestic and the external market. So in most instances, we do not only look linear where we only focus on external markets, we also are still much in the domestic market where we produce food and fiber for our citizens in our own country, South Africa, but also in our region, in the SADC region, continentally and externally. And one of the interesting things is that where you have got opportunities for market access outside your borders, you are also able to increase, the revenue in terms of those export earnings, because currencies obviously aren't the same from one region to the other. So where you have got better currency values, you are actually able to attract more revenue for your own country. That comes to the producer directly, but at the same time, through taxes, it comes to government.
The Agricultural Minister in South Africa is Thoko Didiza. Minister, once again, thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much, Ayanda, and to your listeners.